All right, so you play Eliza. Tell us how you relate to your character.
I feel like I not only relate to Eliza in some ways, I also feel very inspired by the character because I find her to be a very strong woman. I relate to her in certain ways, or at least I think I put myself in the character in certain ways. Like I really think that Eliza's like bubbly and maybe she's a little shy and maybe a little gentler, maybe doesn't always speak her mind right away. But that not speaking her mind right away results in Act 2 where Burr, you see like she finally lets it all go and she's like, the story, actually my story is about me. And I'm going to be strong. And I think that that is like so inspiring. The moment in Quiet Uptown when she gives the ultimate like act of forgiveness, I just think is such a graceful moment. I really am very inspired when I play the role.
Yeah, your character grows throughout the musical, obviously. And can you talk about how and where she really gets that strength?
Absolutely. Well, first off, I think at the end of the day, like all women, we're just born strong. But I think that you really see, I love to use Burr as an example, like I just said, she's really thinking through her life and reflecting on how much she has put into this relationship and into this family, and realizing that she has power and that the story can also be about her. I think that's a turning moment for her, because even though she and Hamilton end up being together at the end, like she's transformed, like she's grown up. I also think that That Would Be Enough is a wonderful moment as well, because what happens in the show before that is there's a lot of chaos. They're at war and it's not going well, and Hamilton is sent home and it's like everything is horrible except, oh my gosh, my wife is pregnant. And she is able to see through this stress, because he's obviously a little stressed about it. She's able to see through this stress that like it's going to be okay. We have each other. We have love. We don't need legacy. We don't need money. We have each other, and that is enough.
This story, or Eliza's story, might not have been told this way 50 years ago. How do you think this show now has kind of redefined how people think about women of that time?
I think that, first off, I think we've all realized that the reason why we know history from a certain lens is because of who wrote it, and who they were focused on. And I think that we've learned over time that, I think women might have been there. So it's important to tell those stories because we want to get a full view of like what the world was at the time. And more than that, even if it wasn't written, or written maybe in our like textbooks, we've learned over time that, wives and women in men's lives, were very helpful in reading and writing. Eliza was at Hamilton's side through a lot of the things that the show talks about he was writing. I think that we're realizing the impact that women have had.
Absolutely, and still do. So I'm not going to give anything away, but at the end of the show, you are still there, and you go on to live a long life. Your character does. So what do you want to leave the audience with at the very end? What do you hope that you have left with them?
First off, I hope that I end the show with like this gasp, this moment at the end. So I do take some responsibility, and I hope that I leave the show first off at kind of like a lighter, like, oh wow moment rather than heavy because it's sad. Mm-hmm. I think that the show does end on a high note. I want the audience to see a lot of things. First off, just from looking at the show, I want them to see the importance of the representation of on the stage. I want them to see, I want them to be inspired by that. We always talk about legacy in the show, and I think that is so important. Like, at the end of the day, you have no control, like who lives, who dies, who tells your story. And I think, legacy is such an important thing to me. I'm an only child, and so I really hold a lot of responsibility to carry on a legacy for my family, and this show inspires me to do that, and I hope that inspires audiences to do that as well.
Do you have a favorite part of the show?
It changes. I mean, we do this show every day, so it goes in seasons, and it depends on how I'm feeling at the time or what's going on in my personal life and what I need at the time. But I will say, one of my favorite moments of the show is definitely Schuyler Sisters, because I get to sing a fun, happy song with my sisters. And not only that, there's one moment where at the end of the song, everyone stops and sings the lyric, look around at how lucky we are to be alive right now," at the same exact time. And I just feel like at that time we are so fused together and connected. And while I love having my moments alone on stage, I love the moments where we're all together.
I'm glad you brought that up, because everyone is on stage almost the whole time.
Yes.
I mean, but you might not, if you've only seen it on Disney Plus or you've only heard the soundtrack, then you might not realize that the whole cast is pretty much on stage the whole time.
It is an ensemble piece. I think a lot of times we look at musicals and we're like, who's the lead? Who's blah, 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 blah. No, this show is an ensemble piece. And that's how I like to look at it when I do the show. I think it also relieves a lot of stress for me in my head when I'm doing the show. Like, okay, we're all doing the same thing. Now it's just my time to do my part of it. But no, it really is true. And the Disney Plus is wonderful. And I love how it's shot so close so you can see the actor. But it does take away, I think, from a lot of the show, which is the ensemble carries this show and brings this world to life so that we can do our job.
Yeah, I love that. Have you had, I know you haven't been here long, have you had a chance to explore Greensboro at all?
I haven't yet, but I will. Getting to tour the country is so fun. You get to travel to all these cities, big and small, and get to see how different the country is. So I'm definitely going to. I love just immersing myself in the community, finding the restaurants that everyone likes. I'll ask all the Uber drivers what their favorite places are. Love to go on walks, and I'm staying right in the city. But I'm really excited because it's gorgeous here. Gorgeous like nature, and we love nature kind of cities on tour.
It's good. You're here at a good time for sure. Okay, you ready for a little rapid fire questions? Okay. All right, let's see. Aaron Burr, victim or villain?
Oh, no, villain, I guess, but also, villain, I guess. Villain.
Okay, can you name the contemporary of your character for whom Greensboro is named?
What? What? The contemporary of my character, Greensboro? I don't know.
Nathaniel Green.
Oh my gosh! Oh my gosh! Okay.
All right, so here's this one. You might not know this one. Do you know this area's significance to the Revolutionary War?
A battle.
Yes, the Battle of Guilford Courthouse. It was Nathaniel Green fought here.
That's what you should always say. That's what you should always say. There was a battle.
There was a battle, yes, but it was just a few months before Yorktown. And so this is where Cornwallis's troops were so badly injured that they couldn't fight.
I love that. You know, I want to say too, sorry to interrupt this rapid fire, but I love learning the history of these cities, especially because we tell a story of American history. So I love that you said that to me. You know, we spent time in Texas. I love learning the history of around our country. So I'm excited to learn more.
They say it's where we lost the battle but won the war. So that's our claim to fame for Guilford County. Okay, here we go. Back to it. Mountains or coast?
Coast.
A night on the town or curled up on the couch?
Curled up on the couch.
Krispy Kreme or Dunkin' Donuts?
Krispy Kreme.
Yes, good job. Duke or Carolina?
Oh gosh, I don't know. Duke? I don't know.
Coke or Pepsi?
Coke, Diet Coke.
Okay, what is a toboggan?
Oh my gosh, I used to know, is it something in the snow? Is that what it is?
Or a hat.
Or a hat?
In North Carolina, we call them a toboggan, a winter hat.
I love that, toboggan, okay.
Pork barbecue or beef barbecue?
Pork barbecue.
All right. And favorite state on your tour so far?
Oh, gosh. I have to be honest, I bet that the Carolinas are going to be up there. But as of now, because I just got here, Texas was definitely my favorite state.
Very good. Perfect. Is there anything that you wish people would ask you that they don't?
It's always interesting when people want to know more about like an actor's process or how they get ready for the show or like, oh, actually, I think that sometimes we don't think about an actor's personal life, maybe. And when I say not about like knowing about what's going on in their life, but like, you know, this is like quite a difficult job, and I think that it can really affect, you know, like for example, people's mental health. Not to make things too deep, but it's like, I think that that's a very interesting topic. I don't know. Does this even make sense?
Yeah, no, I know. But you have kind of a family, and I did look at your Instagram, and so I know that you have a relationship with another cast member. Is that right?
Oh, yes,
yes.
yes.
So that has to help too.
Absolutely. Oh my gosh. We really all just like rely on each other on tour. It feels like summer camp. We just like move around because we're all in kind of like a bubble. But yeah, relationships are really important on tour.
Very good. Thank you.
Thank
Perfect.
you.
That was great.